England won their first game under Thomas Tuchel with a brilliant goal by debutant Myles Lewis-Skelly. Now in this video we're going to talk about how Myles was used and how Tuchel has found another way to use this brilliant player. So let's get into it. Now I am not someone that is overly interested in England games as a whole, especially when it's not a major tournament. I do find the friendlies to not be very interested and quite a lot of the time not really to tell us much about the players. Also, a lot of players get overused. But with Thomas Tuchel, it's a proper manager with expected results. And the fact that he played Myles Lewis-Skelly at 18 and left back in his first game, I think just shows the amount of confidence he has in him and the amount of trust that both of them should have in each other to get them even further forward. Now, in this game, Myles Lewis-Skelly was used quite differently from the first half to the second half. In the first half, England were using a system where they would go to a 3-back at some times, and one of the fullbacks, being Myles or Walker, would push up. This often did actually see Walker push up quite a lot in that half, and Myles Lewis-Skelly was one of the back three on that left half space for the team, sort of picking up the ball and shifting it around that defence. And a lot of the time he actually had Bellingham in the pocket come close to him and Rice, and they kind of worked with him inside if he always wanted to play it there. But with Albania's low block and deeper players that didn't really want to push forward, a lot of the time the space wasn't really there for a pass going forward. Now what I will say is that Myles Lewis-Skelly, I think early on, was a little bit nervous about the occasion, and when I've seen him play for Arsenal, he consistently makes these runs into the centre. Maybe that was a tactical thing as well, because we had more midfield presence and central area presence, but at the start it was something that he was doing really well to pick and choose when he actually made that decision. Something that Myles Lewis-Skelly is really good at is picking the ball up in defensive areas and baiting players towards him to go past him. We see it all the time in attacking and defensive situations, but if they would come towards him, he would quickly touch the ball around a player and be able to get into that space. Unfortunately, in the central areas there wasn't a lot in this game, but when Myles Lewis-Skelly did go into attacking positions, he often did actually be that player, the +1 in many situations, even on the width of the team or in that half space. He kind of played off Rashford and Bellingham and where they were, and was always that sort of blind spot player. England had a lot of this system where they wanted to play the ball in behind, even with this low block by Albania, and Myles would always be one of the players that have to shift the ball onto other players to progress and always be sort of an outlet in there. Wherever he was, he would bring players towards him, hopefully hold the ball up and then be able to pass it through, which was one of his main roles. And in the pockets is where really Myles Lewis-Skelly is the best. In these little areas where he can shift the ball to players, he can hold the ball up, use his strength. This is where he really is an excellent player, and this is why I think Thomas Tuchel had such an emergence on Myles Lewis-Skelly being that attacking force, which we saw a lot more in the second half. If you look at his touches throughout the game, you see majority of them are in the other team's half, and that is because in that second half he actually got tweaked a little bit with his position. This moved him into more of a left half space, left centre mid double pivot role, where even Tuchel after the game said that he thinks he's better in that 6 double pivot, where this kind of allowed Walker to be that back three because it wasn't really working with him going forward with Foden on his side. And this is where I think Myles Lewis-Skelly's performance turned into great to amazing. He was able in this position to pick the ball up in the pocket with players around him, turn, be able to keep the ball yet again, but more importantly, progress the ball quite well. He is brave on the ball and allows England to get their bigger players up there, like Jude, who can also dictate and kind of roam where he wants to. Kane can come deeper as well, and it allowed at least England to get past that low block because they could bait players towards them, stretch the team out and pull players out of that defensive line. And I thought Myles Lewis-Skelly's running in this game was so excellent in midfield and in that left half space where England were kind of in a 3-2-5 at this point, where he was alongside Rice. I thought it worked excellent, and maybe it's something Arsenal should look to do a little bit more. I know they have done it, but they don't do it with this amount of attack and power, especially centrally, which is definitely interesting. And not only on the ball is he so good in attacking areas, I think the real clear thing about this game is that how good he is defensively shows his quality. Not only is he in sort of an inverted role, you don't really see him go out wide too much, and when the ball was actually played out wide a few times, you actually saw Dan Burn come over and kind of cover for Myles Lewis-Skelly in them width areas, but when it's in them central areas, you see him in quite a aggressive position. In the second half, he was able to win the ball back quite a few times where Albania were breaking, and he was able to quickly get his foot in and go into them central areas to win the ball and progress with it. This is where you really want him winning the ball, because not only is he got incredible intelligence and awareness in these areas, him running centrally is where he should be. He is that defensive midfielder, he is that ball aggressive player, and when he gets that space to run in there, he will, and then he can shift the ball off to England, who get up the attack. And there was a few attacks that happened in the second half where Myles wins the ball back and finds our team, which I thought were amazing. And defensively, the whole game he was excellent. There was balls being played to him quite high up in the air, and he was doing well to deal with them. But when that strength has to come and he has to hold the ball off by getting pressed quite a lot, he is excellent. One of the best press resistant fullbacks, I think, in the Premier League. He is able to keep that ball and progress. And with England, a lot of players were quite intent on counter pressing. Our counter pressing in this game I thought was really good, how intent England were of getting that ball back when they lost it. And when Myles is there holding off players, he's getting players around him to help, and then they're allowing him to be able to run into them spaces and sort of covering for him while also making them runs. And I felt like in this system specifically, Myles Lewis-Skelly's real talent in the second half of ball carrying, holding the ball up, physical defending actually really worked with the system. And I think that this aggressive Tuchel system and this running in behind sort of play we tried to do worked even more with him, which is brilliant to see. And this is the thing about Myles Lewis-Skelly. He is a left back now, but he is a centre mid by trade. He is not only someone that dictates tempo because of that midfield power, he understands when to go quickly, he understands when to pass the ball back and sort of shift that ball out wide to sort of get the team a little bit calmer or be more intent when there's space there. But he also has that technical quality and incredibly that defensive strength considering his size. He is getting there to be a complete player, and I do think in the future in the midfield is probably where you expect to see him, because when he does them brilliant runs and then brilliant tackles in central areas and wins the ball back, that is where he really excels. He's got a brilliant engine on him, and that really makes him a great player. Now, this is all things that has been shown throughout his Arsenal career, but obviously he scored his first ever England international goal on his debut, which is incredible to see, and he was the youngest ever debutant to score, beating Rashford. Now, this goal in itself is actually a very different thing that we haven't seen by Myles too much, and this goal is, like we were saying earlier, was a perfect example of him being that blindsided player. Rashford comes short, Bellingham is dictating play in the middle, roaming where he wants to, and Albania are in a compact system very close towards each other. This is where Myles Lewis-Skelly really takes that mantle and goes into them attacking positions. He spreads the team out wide, he stretches them out and gets into that space on that left hand side. And you see the width by fullbacks as well being an excellent thing, and this is not really Myles Lewis-Skelly's forte. He has been left back obviously for Arsenal, he doesn't really do these things overall, and he is that more central player. So the fact he can actually act as this player, he was very calm, and when he made this run, you see him even push that defender back in the first place, which keeps him on side where the guy's trying to mark him. He holds his run very well behind that player, and obviously Bellingham deserves a lot of credit for this pass, which is absolutely astonishing. But an overlapping run by Myles Lewis-Skelly is not something we have seen before, and actually could be a very good thing for Arsenal to use against low blocks if teams are going to be compact against them, but you do need more central progression for that, and I do think Arsenal do miss that. But he gets in, and yet again, it's the same as Myles Lewis-Skelly has done throughout his career, is that he holds off the player very well, he composes himself and just slides it under the goalkeeper's legs for an easy goal for his first one for England. The movement is brilliant. I think the awareness and the overlap in play as well was excellent. And I think this is one of the reasons in the second half that Thomas Tuchel even said that he wanted to play Myles Lewis-Skelly as a bit of an advanced 8 on that left hand side in a diamond. And I think that is why I think he realised that going forward is where he really excels, even though he is a brilliant defender as well, one-on-one especially. But I think that's where you get the best out of him in a team that are going to consistently have the ball. And I think that's what Arsenal know, and I think that's what England know, and I think we will see that in the future. And just looking at some of his stats on his debut, 69 out of 74 passes, which is a lot of involvement in the game for a player that has just come in. 87 touches, he had 1 out of 1 successful dribble, made 9 passes into the final third, won every single one of his duels and was fouled twice and didn't commit any fouls himself. And in defence, yet again, like we said, he wasn't supposed to be that defender for most of the game, but he still made 7 recoveries. His ability to run back and actually get them balls is incredible, and he deserved his man of the match award. Of course, there's a little bit of novelty in that award because it's his debut and I think everything that's happened with him, but I think he deserves it. He was excellent in this game, and I think under Thomas Tuchel, he's not only going to get better, but going to improve every single week, which is exactly what Arsenal need and England need, I think, in the forefront. Overall, I couldn't be any happier for anyone other than Myles. He is one of my favourite players players. Of course, I'm an Arsenal supporter, so it's going to mean a lot, and I do think finally people can hopefully shut up about him. He's an incredible player. He's been incredible this season and deserves his spot in that England team. But let me know in the comments what you guys thought overall, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.